Julian, you attended most of training camp. That gives you purchasing power for buy or sell. So I'm going to start with this. Last year, Bryce Young was near the bottom of the league, 29th in QBR. Are you buying or selling that he will be? I was going to go top 25. I'm going top 20. Are you buying that?
There we go. There's some positivity. I'm going to buy.
Wow, ka-ching.
I'm not selling that he's going to be a bottom 3 quarterback this year. I'm not saying that he's going to be a bottom 3rd. I think that Bryce Young can be right around 15, 16, or 17 this year, and I think they fixed things around Bryce Young on offense where he actually has a chance. Last year, he didn't have a chance. Offensive line was banged up all year long. Austin Corbett played 4 games. Brady Christensen played 1 game. They rotated 7 different left guards, 8 different right guards. That's not a formula for success for anyone, let alone a rookie quarterback. So I'm buying that Bryce Young with a better offensive line, adding in Deontay Johnson, will be at the very least the 20th best quarterback in the NFL this year.
All right. Let's talk about his new coach, Dave Canales. Julian, last year, the Panthers offense, I don't need to remind you how bad it was. 13.9 points per game. Can Dave Canales' offense score 20 or more points per game? Just to give you perspective, 20 points per game was 22nd in the league last year. Can they at least get to that?
Can it be a touchdown better than they were average last year? On average last year, I think so. And they should be. Again, I think Bryce Young is going to play, at worst, be the 20th best quarterback as far as QBR goes in the NFL this year. I think the offensive line is fixed. I also believe they have another receiver outside of Adam Thielen that can help Bryce Young and actually make plays. And I think the running game should be good. They can't possibly be as inept as they were offensively. I'm sure, I suppose it could happen. I just don't see that happening this year. I do think that Dave Canales did a marvelous job last year in Tampa with Baker Mayfield and that offense, and in the year prior working as a quarterback coach in Seattle with Geno Smith is going to get the most out of Bryce Young and the most out of a Panthers offense that has better pieces this year. And, of course, provided that they stay healthy, I'm going to buy this.
All right. Well, of course, he needs to be protected. He took 62 sacks last year, Bryce Young did. Ike Ekwonu on that left side. That seems to be a pivot point for this offense. Yeah. Are you buying or selling the fact that I tell you Ike Ekwonu will not only last the season as this team's starting left tackle, he will go into 2025 as the sure thing on the left side?
I'm going to buy that he's going to be the starting left tackle for the entirety of the season, and I'm going to buy also that he will be the guy in 2025. Not necessarily that he's going to be a sure thing, but when Dan Morgan, the Panthers general manager, came out in the offseason and said that they believe in Ickey as a left tackle, and then they gave Damian Lewis a bunch of money to play left guard, and they gave Robert Hunt a bunch of money to play right guard, they made it to where Ickey's going to have to be the left tackle this year and next season in Carolina. There's not much recourse for them to go with someone else. Of course, they brought in Josh Nijman, who's going to be their swing tackle. He potentially, if they needed to, could play that position and right tackle. Brady Christensen has the opportunity to do that. But looking at how they basically bought their way into a corner to where Ickey has to be the left tackle, I'm buying it just based off of that. But also, I'm a believer that Ike Ekwonu could be a left tackle. A lot of people like to say he's got to play guard, but then they never offer a solution and a reason why that should be the case. I think Ike Ekwonu has shown us in the past as a rookie that he can play that position, and not having 7 different guys next to him at left guard probably helps. When every week you're asking, hey, what's your name? I'm Ickey. Probably not the best way to go about success, even after showing success as a rookie back in 2022. So I'm buying that Ike Ekwonu is a left tackle here in Carolina.
All right, so you're doubling down on the Panthers' investment into the O-line, saying, well, Ickey's got to be the left tackle next year,
it's
too.
It's their investment.
Right. Okay, so let's go to the backfield. Chuba Hubbard, he had a fantastic season last season. He is clearly the number 1 guy right now, but the Panthers, with an eye towards the future, they drafted Jonathan Brooks in the 2nd round, coming off an ACL injury. We'll see when he is back. Expected to contribute for Carolina, and they got a motivated Miles Sanders. So my question to you is, as much as they're going to use Chuba Hubbard in the early going, is he going to finish the season as the Panthers' number 1 back?
I believe he will, and great point about Jonathan Brooks. We have no idea when he is going to play. I know Dave Canales, Panthers head coach, came out and said a couple weeks ago they're targeting week 3, week 4. You were out there like me. Did you see someone who you think's going to be ready to go in a couple weeks' time?
Tough to tell. He's just kind of walking around.
Right. It doesn't seem like it's training that way, and that's what Dave Canales said, so you can only trust those words. But still, he didn't have an entirety of the offseason. He missed all of that. Didn't play in the preseason, and he's going from playing in the Big 12 to now playing in the NFL. going to be a pretty big learning curve for him whenever he comes back. And the fact that they have him under contract for the next 4 seasons, and then they already have Miles Sanders under contract for at least probably this season, is probably the last, and then Chuba is going into the last year of his deal. They can use Chuba and run him into the ground. They can run Miles Sanders into the ground. So I'm expecting that Chuba Hubbard, based off of just the talent, the rest of the depth chart there, is going to be RB1. I think he's going to have a great season as his final season here in Carolina, because they're going to have to move on. Because Jonathan Brooks, you don't take running back in the second round for him not to be your guy eventually. But this year, I'm buying Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard will be the guy here in Carolina.
Wide receiver, clearly the most improved position on this team,
Yeah.
dating back from last year to at least this preseason. They trade for Deontay Johnson because he gets open. He kind of has a knack for that. But let me ask you this. Can he win the team Triple Crown? Can he finish the season leading the Panthers in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns? Will he?
I think he will. I thought Adam Thielen last year was fantastic, but I did not expect to see 100 reception, 1,000 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns! I could see that from Adam Thielen. I was not expecting the first 2 totals, and now bringing in Deontay Johnson, where Dave Canales has said multiple times this offseason, and we have even seen it play out during practice, that he is going to be their ex-receiver. He is going to be the first read. That is their guy. And based off what we saw from Adam Thielen last year, and now what they're expecting Deontay Johnson to do, stepping into that primary role as the guy for Bryce Young, of course, provided that he stays healthy, I'm buying that he's going to lead the team in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns this season. And I'm also not quite so sure that this is the most improved wide receiver core based off of there's 2 guys instead of just 1. So that's an improvement there, but I'm still questioning about the rest of that unit and how much the Panthers are really going to get out of them this season. But it's nice that Deontay Johnson's here and that Adam Thielen's here, and I think those are 2 guys that Bryce Young can believe in, and one of them in particular, Deontay Johnson, I'm buying on all those totals.
If you need an angel investor, this is your guy right here. He has bought everything so far.
Yeah.
But let's stay in that receiver room. They draft Xavier Legette, trade up to get him at the end of the first round. Now, a lot of people like to compare him to a fellow former Gamecock, Deebo Samuel. Deebo scored 6 total touchdowns his rookie year in the NFL. I'm asking you, will Legette score 4? You buying that?
No, I am not buying that. I'm going to sell that. And I'm also going to sell the Deebo Samuels comparisons and the DK Metcalf comparisons. Let's just let him get out on the field and be healthy first. And that's really why I'm selling this, based off of the fact that since Xavier Legette has been here in Carolina, he's been pretty banged up. Back during OTAs in the spring, he had a hamstring, and the Panthers were cautious with him, as they've been cautious with everybody else who's had a nagging injury so far during camp and even getting back to the spring. I just didn't see anything out of him then. And then when he was healthy early on in training camp, it wasn't like he was making the biggest impact. He was behind Jonathan Mingo, wasn't really running with the ones. And the one opportunity we saw for him to get the ball on Saturday, drops it. That's just a very small sample size, but he has not been healthy enough. And the fact he has not been healthy, and he's not considered to be a big part in the offense as far as they want to run the ball, they want to get Deontay Johnson the ball, and you have Adam Thielen again, I just have a hard time seeing him being able to hit those totals, and I just really don't want to place Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf expectations on a guy who had only an outstanding season last year, but only one real season of being a dude. Let's allow him to grow. I think he can be someone for the future, but future's like 25, not 24, because this is the present.
Okay, there's a defense, too. We got to talk about them. Ejiro back after taking some head coaching interviews yet again this offseason. Jadeveon Clowney, Rock Hill's finest in town, coming off basically a career year. Let's talk about the pressure on the quarterback, though, Julian. This team had 27 sacks last year. That was last in the NFL.
Yeah.
They trade Brian Burns.
Yeah.
Will this team get 30 or more this year? Buying or selling that?
I'm selling that. At this point, I'm not even sure they hit half that total. They probably will. This is by far the worst pass rush in the NFL, and I don't know how much better it's going to get. I understand that Brian Burns did not have the kind of season that Panther fans believe would have warranted $30 million per year like the Giants are giving him, and I even believe that's kind of a high total. But he's a good player, entering into his prime, and now he's gone. Frankie Louvu, cannot ignore him, what he was able to do from that linebacker spot the last 2 seasons as a pass rusher, being able to supplement those questions on the outside opposite of Brian Burns. And then even Yetur Gross-Matos played well, and now he's in San Francisco. And the Niners always have a good defensive line, so clearly he's a good player. That's 18 sacks out the door. I understand that Clowney had 9.5 last year, one of them had 8, but we're not sure when DJ Wynnum's going to play. Amari Barno, I don't really know what you were going to expect out of him even when he comes back. And then DJ Johnson finally at long last had a sack in that preseason finale against Buffalo, but that's preseason. That's against number 2s. What's he going to do against 1s? Caleb Chason. He has the look, but so far he's been a bust, and that's no offense to him. I'm not trying, well, it probably is offensive, but I'm not trying to denigrate him. Just the fact is, if he lived up to the expectations, he'd still be in Jacksonville. But he's not in Jacksonville. He's here in Carolina. I'm not impressed by this group at all, and I just do not see how they are going to be better than last year's total when they clearly have gotten worse in the talent department. They're also just not healthy there. So, yeah, I'm selling this big time.
All right, well, this defense was the strong point of the team last year, the 2-15 team, but creating turnovers was an issue. They were last in the NFL, again, in this statistic, with 11 takeaways. The top team in the league had 31. So will Ejiro Evero's defense force 15 or more takeaways this year? Do you buy that?
I think so. I'm going to buy it. And you go back to a lot of things we saw during training camp, and the days where the offense wasn't great were also days where the defense was really good. You see that kind of yin and yang, how things work out. And a lot of those times it was a defense knocking the ball out and being able to force turnovers. That's something that Dave Canales talked about since the spring, how they want to be punching at the ball. They want to get the ball on the ground. They really want to be aggressive in that category. And I do think that with this secondary, I really like the safety group to have here in Carolina. If J.C. Horn can stay healthy, he can be a ball hawk. I know Dane Jackson right now, corner on the other side, he's injured. If they bring in Mike Jackson, I think that this is a defense that's going to get after the ball more. And I just think just based off of, too, you're going to have different turnover luck each season, offensively, defensively. I think they're going to be able to hit that total this year. So, yeah, I'm going to buy this, that Ejiro Evero's defense is going to get at least 15 turnovers this season.
All right, Julian Council's wallet's a bit lighter after this trip to the studio. He's buying most of what we had for him.